Welcome to the Beyond the Bucket Show, a podcast centered around optimizing all lives' buckets. We all have buckets we are balancing: coaching, entrepreneurial ventures, family, passion projects, and health. Let's all take this journey together and become bucket fillers. And here's your host, Chris McSwain.
Well, back at another episode, this time in the studio, Sara Quilici Giles. Welcome back to the program. Happy to have you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me back. I'm excited for this in-person setup.
Yes. A lot has gone on since the last time. When was the last time you were on?
I don't even remember. Pretty soon after you started, 2020, maybe early 2021.
Was it that early?
I don't even know if did I have McKenna? I don't even remember.
You were the coach at Los Gatos.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I think you might have just taken over the program. You just finished year 5?
6.
6. All right. So there might've been like 2 years in.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, welcome back.
Thank you.
You have 2 children now.
I do.
I don't know if you had children when we first filmed, but what is it like coaching and being a mother? By the way, Sara is the head coach at Los Gatos High School. Just finished her 6th season, second time in a row being in the Open, and actually I was doing some research. Los Gatos has the second most Open appearances for public schools. Sammy got 1 and you have 2.
Wow.
Palo Alto has 4.
That's who I would have guessed would be the number 1 for sure.
And then for all the other schools, it is Midian Pinewood with 12, St. Ignatius with 11, Sacred Heart with 10. I think us and St. Francis, since the Open started, both with 7.
Wow.
And then it goes to Eastside Prep with 6. Yeah. So
wow.
You're in good company.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, it definitely feels in good company, but I didn't know that about public school. So that's cool.
Yeah. So tell me about coaching and having 2 children, how that's been for you.
It's definitely been different. When I just had McKenna, it's funny that I thought that was hard because it was just so easy. And now if I only have 1 kid in the gym, it's like having no kids in the gym.
Yep.
It's definitely been a challenge, but luckily my husband is great. And, he coaches at Los Gatos too, JV boys. And so our kids come to the gym a lot. They sit through maybe an hour of practice a day between the 2 of us. And then, we drop our kids off and the other one takes them home. And so it's a challenge, but luckily they love the gym, both of them. McKenna, especially my daughter, she's almost 3 and she loves my team. She still talks about them. The season's been over for 7 weeks and she'll still be like, say something random and be like, oh, Nicole, Ashley. And then she'll be like, I like Freddie. And she'll just start talking about all the girls. And she hasn't seen them in almost 2 months now. I
love that. That's awesome. Yeah. I think bringing your kids around the team and what you do, your passions, make it really just profound in the fact that you can raise them around something that you love so much. And I think CJ was born he's born in 2018 and 2 weeks after he's in the CCS championship picture. And then this past year, the boys won it and he's literally in the CCS championship picture. So everything that he's been born into basketball, similar to your kids. And I think that's just really amazing. But tell me about the balance of having your husband work at the school. And then what is that like? I mean, obviously your husband's my best friend. So I talk to him a lot, but rarely do we talk about the intricacies of how that actually works out. He's coming to the gym, dropping 2 kids off to you and you're taking 2 kids home. How difficult is that being in that spot?
It's funny because when it's happening, I don't realize how hard it is until the season's been over now. And it's we're both home for dinner every night. We're both home for bedtime every night. And it's when you're in the season, we love coaching, both of us. We're both very passionate about it and really like that in each other also. And so it doesn't feel like it's hard or it doesn't feel like you're making a sacrifice at the time because it's just it means so much to both of us. And we're both good at it. We both love what we do. And it's who we are as people, not just as parents. And so it's hard, but I didn't realize how hard it was until the end of the season.
Right. What is the best part about that? Because we talk about the hard parts, but what is the best part about that?
The best part, like you said, just our kids growing up around basketball. McKenna was there when my team won the CCS championship also. She was a little baby in her jammies, probably 10 or 11 months old. And so it's I love being able to experience that and share that with my kids. And it's like life is all about hard things. And so it's a little bit hard to do both. But if they see us doing hard things because we love something and we're passionate about it, then like I hope they can find something they're passionate about like that in life based on our examples.
For sure. As you walked in here, we were talking about the landscape of just women's sports in general. There's just so much hype. It's obviously March Madness time. And by the time this airs, I think the championship game will be that coming Monday, or the women play on Monday too.
They play on Sunday.
The Sunday, excuse me. And the men play on Monday for the championship game. But talk about just like the greatness of what women's college basketball is specifically. I think the high school basketball landscape in our area with girls high school is just amazing. So many great teams, so many great coaches. There's just a lot of buzz around women's sports right now. So talk to me about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like when I was in high school and like a young woman, there was no college basketball on TV for women. Like you couldn't even fill out a bracket online until like maybe 2 or 3 years ago. And like they didn't use the March Madness logo until 2 years ago. And like it just wasn't accessible. Like I didn't even know who Kelsey Plum was in college because her games were never televised. And if they were like on, you know, some back channel ESPN network that maybe you didn't have. And so it's like, it's so special just that it's out there and that every game can be viewed. And like, so I work for Bossy, Bay Area Women's Sports Initiative.
Check out the hat.
Yes. Just came from a Bossy Girls site. And so we provide sport and leadership opportunities for girls in under-resourced areas. And I was at a Bossy site last week, and this girl and I were talking, and she didn't want to play the badminton game that we were trying to play. And she said, I just want to play basketball. And I was like, girl, like, tell me about it. What do you like? I didn't know you like basketball. I was like, I'm a basketball coach. I coach at high school, blah, blah, blah. And we were just talking about it. And I'm about to walk away from her, and I go, who's your favorite basketball player? And, you know, what are we expecting her to say? Steph Curry or something like that. And she goes, what's her name? And this girl is like in 3rd or 4th grade, mind you. And I said, her name? What's her name? And she said, yeah, I can't remember her name. And I was like, oh, well, like, tell me about her jersey. Let's figure out who she is. She was like, it's purple and yellow. And I was like, is it Angel Reese? And she goes, it is Angel Reese. I love Angel Reese. And it's like this 3rd or 4th grade girl knows who Angel Reese is.
Right.
And like knows about her enough that that's her favorite basketball player. And like when I was a kid, I would have said maybe my brother was my favorite basketball player. Like I wouldn't have even known. And like, I just thought that was like so profound. Like at this, you know, it's like, I feel like we're witnessing history and we know it.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that is where the positive side of the NIL comes into place, because now these young ladies can get paid for their name, image, and likeness, but also they're creating great storylines. You get to see Caitlin Clark for 4 years. She can come back for her 5th year if she wants to. Angel Reese, like her going to the draft maybe after this year would actually cost her money because she's no longer in the NIL collective and things like that. She's actually, I just heard this today, she's signing with Reebok, and Shaq is going to be basically promoting her to be the face of Reebok moving forward. And then, you know, Juju Watkins and Paige Beckers, all these players, you get to know them for more than just 1 year. And just think about just entertainment in general. It's all storytelling.
Right.
So when they do the March Madness thing, they talk about the Cinderella story about this team that had no business beating this other team, and they beat them. And this one kid that nobody knew about before the tournament had 10 threes in the game and all that sort of stuff. And I think this is really helping the women's game be able to really tell that story about women's basketball. And these girls are just fantastic in the size, the ability, everything that you have seen men be able to do. The girls are now starting to replicate it at a high level, and I'm just really excited for the future of women's basketball. I know you're excited because you have a young daughter that is hopefully gonna follow her mother's and her dad's footsteps and her papa and play basketball. So it's just really cool. Yeah,
it is. It's such a special time. And like also with the Bay FC team in the Bay Area, two of Bossy's founders are on the part of the 4 founding for the Bay FC. And like, that's so cool that we can just take, you know, McKenna can go see that game in professional women's sports. Like that wasn't an option when I was a kid.
Football club.
Yeah.
And then the Warriors are having a women's basketball team too.
Yep. Put my deposit down for season tickets already.
Do you want to coach it?
Well, that sounds like a lot of pressure, a lot of stress. But I mean, I was actually thinking the other day that like long-term, I would love to work in their organization somehow, like be a part of it, part-time, whatever it is. Like if I could find some kind of job in there, I think I would really enjoy that. Like, as like maybe my next chapter in life.
That would be really cool. So talk about your season this year. You guys had a successful season yet again, won your league pretty significantly, 2 years, I believe, now undefeated in league, which is quite the feat. And then you get the opportunity to rub elbows and play against some of the best teams in the state in our section and CCS. And you got the first public school open win in a long time. I don't know when the last one was. I'd have to look back at the archives, but talk about that journey and how fulfilling it was, and just how much impact that you got out of the season.
Yeah, it was a very special season, and like from the beginning, I kind of felt like it would be one of those years. Like just in open gyms in the fall, I had like 7 varsity kids, and I've never had that many. Sometimes I only have that many total kids for open gyms in the fall. And I had a lot of returners that were hungry to kind of like start the season and continue, because we ended the previous season on 4 straight losses in the open division. And then NorCal, we were the 16 seed, had to go play number 1 Marin Catholic and lost on the road. And so I think like some of the returners were kind of taking that personally a little bit, and which was a good thing. And so they were working really hard before we even started. And then when the season started, I thought I scheduled a tough schedule for us to not have a great record, but to maybe be more prepared for the playoffs.
You lost 1 game, I believe.
Two. To Pinewood and Colfax.
Yep.
In I think Colfax is San Joaquin or NCS. I think San Joaquin.
San Joaquin, I believe. They went to the state final.
They did. Yeah. And that was like kind of an eye-opening game for us. But yeah, went undefeated in league again. It was by far the most talented team I've had, like basketball wise, from a basketball perspective, and really competitive with each other, which I found to be really beneficial for this year. Yep. Sometimes it's hard for girls to go hard in practice because they really like their teammates, which I like when we like each other. That's like a good environment to be in. That's a good culture. That's what I'm trying to build. But I don't want you to like each other so much that you make practice easy, because the person that's guarding your teammate in a game is not just going to let her go by you, or not going to, they're going to steal the ball if it's right in front of them. Yeah. And so sometimes it's hard to like get them to like really, really go battle in practice. And I didn't have that problem this year. That's like good. They really went after it, like so much so that they're trying to like, twist rules for games to get them to go in their favor because they just want to win. Yeah. And just like super competitive. And like, no matter how we separated the teams, like it was pretty competitive. Yeah. And so it was really fun. It was a really fun environment to be in. And I thought this schedule was tough, but I mean, they won games at the end. They really like made players make plays. Right. And so, just a really talented group, really fun to be around, just had a really, really like fun season.
The best part about having a good team is when they are competitive like that. And you just saw a little bit of Skip's episode, but we were talking about that because, all of our, almost everybody that was on that team, your husband included. But we were one, and I'm going to go see Ryan Lagod after this. He's in town.
Oh, nice.
So we battled every single day together, but it was a multi-year thing because a lot of us went to middle school together, or we played against each other in middle school, and we got to see that part of it too. But when we got to high school, there was really no egos involved because we were all playing for each other. So if Ryan Lagod had transferred from Midi and came over, and he was the one that was starting over some of us, like it didn't matter because that was our friend, but we battled every single day in practice, and he made us better. We made him better, and it ultimately made the team better. So that's great. But one of the things that you really do is take your time to do off-season type of stuff or preseason stuff, or even during the season, like you have a big emphasis on bonding. So what do you guys do for your program, and how has it been working out in getting your girls to not only just compete on the court, but also like each other off the court, which, as we know, really helps?
It definitely really helps. I have a big junior class, which a lot of them have been playing together for, like you said, all through middle school. And honestly, my parent group is so supportive. Like sometimes all I have to do is throw an idea of something that I'm thinking, and a parent will take it and run with it and plan the whole thing. And so I have a lot of support in that way. Like I definitely don't do it by myself. Sure. And then sometimes like the girls have created traditions, and they've just kept, like, my team has a team sleepover every year during the season, during Christmas break. And like, that was never my idea. That was somebody that had the idea, and then they just continue it every year. And but something I'm really big about is like, trying to get everybody to interact with everybody. Like I don't like clickiness. So like if we're carpooling, like they know who they're not supposed to go with. So like, you know, Ashley and Ella, they played top flight for years. They're best friends. And so they don't go, if there's only 2 cars, they know they have to separate. And there's another best friends on the team that are sophomores. They know that they have to separate. Like they're not supposed to go with their best friends. We try to get like 1 freshman, sophomore, junior, senior in each car. And so they're forced to like kind of interact with other teammates. And similar, like if they're doing dynamic stretches, like you can't be talking to your best friend. You saw her all day. You guys hung out all day. Go talk to one of your other teammates. And like, I think that's really helped build trust over the years and just like positive interactions and like little tidbits and just like funny stuff. Like I like when they're having fun. I like when they're getting to know each other. Yeah. I think it goes a long way off the court and on the court.
No, it's unintentionally it's intentionally doing it, but they don't know that it's actually happening, is getting them outside of their comfort zone. And that's, I think back to our team, like, yeah, are there like, I like hanging out with this group. So normally I just kind of let them cook, but that's a great idea. That's something that I really think about, where it's like, no, you guys are this group this week or this week. And then you get to know everybody else, because when you actually get to sit down with somebody and talk to somebody, or you're around somebody for a period of time, and now you can understand where they come from and their perspectives. And one of the things that I was talking about before the season is trust. And so how do you get trust? And we coined this acronym, Eshoff and I, and it's true reliability and understanding strengthens teams. So if you can have that, you understand where they're coming from, because we all come from different walks of life. We were all brought up in a different way. Some people may be short, some people may be tall, skin color is different, all of that. But if we have true understanding, we are going to strengthen our bond as a team, and hopefully that helps us on the court. But ultimately, you know, we're going to be closer because of that. And Yeah,
absolutely. And like my brother-in-law Coop, who you had on, he used to be at San Jose State, and they do like team bonding things, you know? And so sometimes I'll go to him and be like, I need a game, or I need something. And so I try to do like at least one of those every year. And actually this year was the first time that I didn't do one, because I didn't feel like I had to.
Yeah.
And so
you didn't have to force it.
Yeah. And we ended up having like another team sleepover before we had a 9 a.m. game in Walnut Creek for a tournament over Christmas. And so we ended up getting a house and staying overnight, so we didn't have to leave Los Gatos so early. And like that kind of acted as that. Like it was really nice. We played laser tag, never, you know, like, and went and had dinner at the house and just like played a really fun game that like they were on 2 teams for, you know, and then we all went to bed early. And so I think it's just like, you know, I had a senior this year at the end of our last game, when if we lose, you know, and the season's over, I always turn it over to the seniors. Like, what's your perspective? What do you want to tell your teammates in this moment? How are you feeling? Like, you know, it's over for you. And I only had one senior at this one, because the other one had COVID, poor thing, missed the last game. And this one is a kid that's been notoriously hard on herself through the years. And she said, when it's over, I'm paraphrasing, when it's over, you don't remember the turnover or the bad game or the missed shot. She was like, you just remember the times with your teammates and the fun.
Right. And
it was like, yes, like that's what it's about right there.
And we as coaches need to understand that, because sometimes we lose track of that in the midst of trying to win games and hold people accountable. It's really about the relationships that you build. And, you know, your husband just had a 40-year-old birthday, but it was really about the bond that he had with all those people that were there. And they were there for a reason, because they shared a bond, whether they grew up with them, whether they were relatives of them, whether they went to high school with them, college with them, or worked with them, whatever the case may be. It was a bond that they got because of something that they were all doing together. And that's what we have to also understand too. Yes, we're trying to win. If there's going to be a score, we're going to try to have more points than the other team, but we also have to keep in mind the perspective of what high school athletics is. It is not end all be all if we lose this game, but what are the life lessons that we're actually learning because of this game that we are playing? You know, it's a game at the end of the day. And I think that is the biggest takeaway that I can say from hearing what your senior said. That's really great perspective in a very difficult moment.
Yeah. And like that senior, and since she came up to varsity as a sophomore, her league record is 34-2.
Wow.
And it's like, and that's what she said. Like, it like means that what we're doing is like, it's making a difference, you know, like this is why sports are so important for kids. And like, I I was just touched in that moment. I couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah. What's the biggest challenge on being a mother while you're coaching basketball? You look at just the college landscape or the high school landscape. There's probably more males that are in these positions, and I would venture to say that one of those reasons is because when a woman is raising a child or children, their heart is torn because what is required to give your all to this team is the same, or if not more, for your actual children. And so we pour so much into other people and spend so much time into our teams. How's that balance been for you, especially now having 2 children?
Yeah, it's been so tough because you just always feel like you should be where you're not, and like the mom hat never comes off. The coach hat might come off, the work hat might come off, but like the mom hat's always there.
Does the coach hat come off?
Maybe it like intertwines with the mom hat. But yeah, and it's like when I'm not with my kids, I want to be, and sometimes when I'm with them, I want to be coaching. Or I need to be watching film, or I need to be practice planning. And so like, I can't give them my full attention. And then I also have a job. So it's like everything kind of is happening all at once. And sometimes I feel like I can't give my kids the attention that they need. And like, they're both kind of needy. They're at those ages.
Yep.
And so, sometimes McKenna watches film with me and she'll be like, oh, those are the girls. And she'll start pointing them out. And so, we try to include her in it, but it's just, I think, important because I would hope that when McKenna is in high school, she has a coach that cares as much as I do and that like puts in as much effort as I do, or like just cares. I guess that's the best way to put it.
Do you ever want to coach her?
No. Well, so I used to say no, like 100% never going to happen. But then I had this conversation with somebody that I work with, and she said, well, I want to coach my kids first. And I didn't really understand why. And she told me because she wants to make sure that her kids understand the expectations for the experience. Like she wants to make sure that she coaches the first time her daughter does under 6 soccer, because she knows that she's going to put in as much effort. She's going to give them a really positive experience. She's going to be a really good first impression to soccer or whatever the sport is. Sure. What she doesn't want is for her daughter to play under 6 soccer, have a coach that doesn't give a rat's ass, that is just there, kick the balls around.
Yep.
And then at the end of the season, her daughter's going to say, I don't like soccer. I want to quit. And it's like, do you want to quit, or did you just have a bad experience? And so it just like, it kind of was like a light bulb for me and opened my eyes. I was like, yes, I want my kids to have a good experience. I want McKenna to really find what she loves.
Right.
And like, if that means that I have to be the first one, sure. But like high school, no. I want someone else to be the voice in her ear, because I didn't listen to my dad at all in high school. I thought he didn't know what he was talking about. I was like, get off my tush, like leave me alone.
Right.
So I wouldn't want to be that for her.
Yeah, I didn't want to coach my kids either until I start to see exactly what you were kind of saying is the fact that some of these people don't really know what they're doing. And I was lucky because I played multiple sports, and I was like, sports is the only thing that really I cared about growing up. It's the only reason why I wanted to get good grades or go to college and all that. So my buddy Taff was like, he's like, watch, you just wait. And so when it got to the time that, CJ was starting to play more and more leagues, it was a no-brainer. They asked for a parent assistant or a parent coach, and I'm like, okay, I'm in. And, and he doesn't always listen to me, but he tells the other kids to listen to me. Like he was playing second base the other day, and then he moved to first base, and he was like, my dad told me to stand here. You need to stand here, which I love because, hopefully that means he's going to be a good leader. But and then, I know what I'm talking about, but this is a funny story. So we're playing baseball, and CJ hits one to left field, and he's playing with kids that are 8 years old, and he's just 6, but he can hang, and I'm going to continue to let him play up because he doesn't know any difference. But Jason Pollock is our third base coach. And so CJ is going to get a double, and then they kind of bobble the ball, and they threw it to second, and I'm yelling, run. And then Pollock was telling him like to hold up, and I said, run. So he comes all the way home. So he scores.
Wow.
But then they were like, no, he has to go back to second. And I didn't really know what the rule was coming from the guy that says he knows what he's doing. But he was like, Dad, you told me to run. I was like, yep, but that's why you listen to your base coaches. But that was a great hit, son. Like it was awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, sometimes you get to dad mode, and like you'll see in a few years, like you just get to parent mode real quick because you just want them to be successful so fast, or not so fast, but you just want them to have a good experience and be good if they are good. So
yeah, just like explore things and like have good experiences for the first one, because it's hard to have a second first impression, right? And so yeah, now I'm like all in my head about what sports I will coach and what ones I'll make Giles coach.
Yeah, I mean, I think you should coach them all.
Yeah,
coach them all if you can, because you've given back so much to other kids. Why would you not do the same for yours?
Yeah,
if there's a need for it, because quality coaching, especially at those ages, is hard because you're getting parents, and a lot of parents may not have any expertise. This is exactly what you do. You went to school for this. You did this growing up. You know, your dad and everybody you know is in the game of basketball. I mean, your twin sister is a basketball official.
Yeah,
your brother is a professional basketball player. You know, your dad was a high-level coach, and your husband's a coach, and your brother-in-law is a coach, and all your friends are coaches. So, like, why would you not? You know, I think it's a beautiful thing, and you just have to like frame it differently and try to have fun with it.
I also think I would probably have to wear my mom hat at the same time, because McKenna doesn't really like new experiences. Like, it's hard to, you know, get her out of her comfort zone to like try something new if she doesn't have like her cousin there with her to do it. And so I think that would be kind of nice, just to like, who knows how she'll be when she's older, but it's been a pretty common theme. So
well, I think, you know, she's going to be going to school here pretty soon. So that's going to give her an opportunity to be around more kids and that sort of thing. And that's when we've seen our kids really start to blossom, is when they started going to school.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
People, and you drop them off, and they're going to be there for 6-7 hours a day, which gives you the flexibility and freedom to do what you need to do too, because that's very important as well. And I like how you guys like split it up, where you got the kids, or Giles got the kids, and you guys can do your thing. You know, whether it's just workout, if he needs to work out for an hour, if you need an hour, like I love that, because Maddie and I do the same thing with that. So
yeah, it's really nice. I'm also lucky because my mother-in-law is like really helpful. So I work from her house 3 days a week, because my husband also works from home. And so between that and the kids and both of us working, it's too hard. And so I work from her house, and then she's super helpful. Sometimes it can be like I leave to go to practice, and then Giles will come and pick them up. And we're also really lucky because the varsity boys coach, he's a dad too at Los Gatos. And so he kind of gets our struggle of trying to do the puzzle piece of scheduling. So we never practice at the same time. We might go back to back, or we might have a break in between, but we have 2 gyms and we never practice at the same time, which is like, otherwise I don't know how we'd do it.
Yeah. And Nick, actually, he coaches all his kids' sports too.
He does.
We'll see him on the weekends for basketball. On Saturday mornings, we'll see him at the gym with his kids. And then Sundays, we see him at football.
That's right.
With his kids. And he's like, he's doing exactly what he does with the Los Gatos team with his kids. Like Colin and I were getting upset with him last year because he was the offensive coordinator, and he would take so long calling a play. And he'd be like, you go here, you go here, you go here. And then Colin and I coach, we're just like, all right, you're getting the ball. And then because we were like ready to play, because
make it work.
Yeah, we're more like, you know, hey, let's get after it and get to it. Because for us, the more plays, the better.
Yeah,
If you can get more plays, I think that's one thing that I think if baseball at a younger age could just be faster. Like we go to Maxine's T-ball, and it's 2 hours.
Oh.
Like it's an hour practice. You guys are going to probably do it next year.
Probably.
But it's an hour practice and then an hour game.
Amaya did that last year. Yes.
And it's just miserable for the kids. Just make it 30 minutes and 30 minutes. You know, get them in it. Their attention span is not that long. And Maxine was like, oh, that was fun. No, it was like, oh, that was just a practice. We have to go to the game now. What are we doing? So,
that's
the shorter the better. Much. Like back when you used to do the little kickers and all that, those classes were like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Because that's all they can take.
Yeah. And even for Maxine's age group, like you couldn't do soccer for that whole time. It would have to be like a parachute or bubbles or like something to, you know, go away and bring it back. Yeah.
Exactly. So, what do you think about, like, what are your plans for the summer? Do you do anything with the team, or do you kind of let them just do their AAU thing? Or
a lot of them are doing AAU for sure. I would love to do summer stuff, but I have a really hard time getting kids. Like they go out of town a lot. They're traveling for this sport or that sport or their brother's sport or whatever it is. And so we're going to do like a 3-week summer league at Del Mar. Are you guys in it too?
Yep.
Yep. Perfect. And like we did that the last couple of years. We've done summer league in June. One year I hosted it. It was hard to get teams. There was at least one team a week that just couldn't come. And so we have open gym scheduled. We do a kids camp, but we're not quite there yet. And so they'll be around for that. They'll be around for open gyms. Try to do summer league. I just hope we have 5 or 6 people for summer league. Doesn't really matter about winning or anything like that. But it's fun just if we can do it. And they genuinely really enjoy summer league. I loved summer league. When I was at Del Mar and we did summer league at Willow Glen, it was like maybe more fun than the season sometimes. And so I think that's important. Maybe like a team dinner if we can do that, but just June and then nothing July, August.
Yep. Yeah. We practice every day in June. And then we left 2 as well. And then we'll play in 3 events along with the summer league.
Mm-hmm.
But it's difficult because people are in and out. You don't really have like a full roster or anything like that. And then you're, relying on young kids to kind of fill in spots. But yeah, I wish there was more. I just wish there was more of like a structured thing for all schools in the summer.
Yeah.
Like, hey, because I remember back in the days, it was more like that. Back when your brother played, like when I was a freshman, they would have everything at San Jose City.
And I remember that.
That's where I actually met your brother for the first time.
Yeah.
He had got this cool tattoo on his arm, and we just thought he was like so cool.
Yeah.
And he was really good.
He thought he was so cool too.
He was really good at basketball. And I just remember those days back in the day. But I mean, everything, the kids that look back and they'll think that when they were doing it, it was like the right thing to do. And I think that's just, as you get older, you look back on things and be like, oh, that was like the best thing. And it may have not been. We might've had like 6 kids that come to the summer stuff too. So who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, I would love to do the weekend stuff, like the team camps and stuff, but like 4 players are unavailable every weekend.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's tough.
Really tough.
Yeah.
So talk about, like, has your sister done any of your games?
She has, yeah.
Outside of the sportsmanship.
Oh yeah, that's right. She did our sportsmanship game this year, which was fun. And then it had to be last year. She did the National Girls and Women in Sports Day game because my team played Monta Vista, who is another female head coach. And she always requests female officials for that game every year from Mark and Scott. And when they weren't playing Los Gatos, when they were in the El Camino, she had Allie do that game. Like that's who she requested. And so last year it was like kind of like my sister can't do your sportsmanship game or your National Girls and Women in Sports Day game. Sorry. And she was like, oh, actually, I think I'd be fine with it if she did. And so she had to make the request because it was at their place. And so she did that game. And that was actually our last game in league. So it was like that was like the undefeated one. And luckily it wasn't close. And so like, it's, never a question. She's got great integrity. Oh, sorry. She's got great integrity. She'd never, ever, sway a game one way or the other. I'd never think she would. And then the other one that she did was at Palo Alto 2 years ago, because it was on a Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday during the COVID year, like 2022.
Yeah.
And we had a makeup game on a Sunday that Palo Alto didn't get officials for. And so she did it. Like Scott at the time was like, well, we need an official. So if she'll do it, I'm fine with it.
Well, I've been waiting for her to come on the podcast. She's she's been dodging me, but one day we'll get her.
Yeah, one day we will. She just doesn't want to talk about herself, I think.
Well, as we're not even really talking about ourselves.
I know.
We're just talking about things and experiences. And I think that is one thing that, all coaches can like resonate with is when you have, like, we all have different circumstances that are benefits. We also have different circumstances that can be very difficult. And so when you can just have these long form conversations about some of the things that we're both going through, like I'll pick up stuff on this. This is honestly more selfish than anything, because, oh wow, I am gonna like get rid of the clicks. If I think about it, I'm like, oh my gosh, we are clicky. But that's just anything. When you walk through the hall at school, I see
absolutely
nothing but clicks. Or in my classes, I see nothing but kids that always stay with the same group. So how can we actually get people around others to stretch them a little bit and have a new perspective? So,
yeah.
Yeah. That's why I love doing this sort of thing. And I love doing it in person because it just brings a whole other element. Like we've always obviously done this via Zoom, but this is way better.
Way better. Yeah, no, way better for sure. Yeah, I really like listening to your podcast too, all the coaches, because it's like I learned something that I hadn't even thought about before with each episode. And it's like, it's just nice to hear. Or if you like agree with something that somebody says, you're like, yes, I do know what I'm talking about. Somebody agrees with me. Like, thank you. But going back to Allie, I think that she would provide a lot of really good perspective for officials, because like, I think every coach should have a best friend who's an official, because she's just helped me understand the game so differently, and like rules, like why things are fouls. And like now watching March Madness, a lot of the calls that happen, I'm like, oh yeah, they did because X, Y, and Z. And I feel like I'm kind of thinking about the game like an official, and like, that's only going to help me in my coaching.
Right. And they can simplify things. You know, Mark sat down here.
Oh yeah. I listened to that one.
It's very simple. Like, cause we'll be like, there's contact. Well, he'll explain to you that there's two levels of contact.
Right.
There's marginal contact and illegal contact. Marginal contact, we are not going to call it. But illegal contact, we're going to call that all the time. Am I impeding the player's ability to go to the basket?
Right.
That would be something that would be illegal contact. You know, but something marginal where the bodies just kind of bump together and nobody like created an advantage or anything like that, that's going to be marginal contact.
Yeah.
And then like the varying leagues too, you know, when you played a couple of WCL teams, you probably thought like, wow, this is much more physical because during their league, they're allowing a lot more of that freedom for the defense to be aggressive. And in your league, that might have been called the foul, but now it's not. So
right.
Just making those small adjustments, I think, is important. And then, you know, obviously having a sister that can tell you about this sort of stuff is great.
Yeah. I really appreciate it because, like you said, the illegal or incidental contact. Like I have post players. My team is very tall, and I have one in particular that my favorite thing to tell a ref is she's given piggyback rides out there. And like, I feel like she doesn't get a lot of calls, and I could be fuming mad every single game about it, except my sister has helped me understand that she's just strong. She's good. She's not going to get those calls. Like if it was someone else on my team who was maybe a foot shorter, she might get that call, but like Nicole doesn't need that call. So she's not going to get it. And like, that helps me so much because I don't yell at refs now. When I think it's a foul, I pick and choose my moments, and like, she is strong. And so, you know, she's not going to get the same calls that somebody else would.
Yeah. So when you like, are you started scheduling already?
A little bit. I'm having a hard time scheduling though, because like, I'm assuming, you know, if we win our league again next year, we're going to go to the Open again, which I mean is great. Would love to, but I just want to play stronger competition in the season to get ready for that. And so I would like to schedule like a lot more private schools maybe. And I'm having a hard time like finding games that work for us or that aren't really far. I have SI on the schedule, which I'm excited about. And I have Carondelet on the schedule, which is the team that knocked us out of NorCal's this year.
Yeah.
And so, and then we're playing in the Sabrina Ionescu showcase at, I don't know if it's some in these, I think it might be, it is Carondelet. Yeah. Okay. That's what I thought. I wasn't sure if they host it in a couple different places.
Yeah.
But so we're doing one game there. And so just trying to explore and just play different people, you know, not maybe the same teams that we play every year in the off season or in the preseason.
What's your thought about being in the Open? Cause you've seen it in two different lights. The first time you got 0-3 and then you lose the next game because you have to go to Division One. There's a lot of talk about competitive equity, how that all plays out. Why is this team beat this team, but why are they in Division Two? A state final, stuff like that. So what's your real thoughts on all of this from your perspective?
I like the Open division. I think like what it's there for is to give public schools a chance in their actual divisions, which I think is fantastic. It's probably why my team won Division 1 2 years ago. And like, I know it's not really meant for public schools, but if we're good enough to be there, we want to be there. What I don't like is how it doesn't help your NorCal seating.
Right.
Like that whole thing is, like you said, the competitive equity and all of that, like that just doesn't make sense to me, because like 2 years ago when we were the 16 seed in Division 2 and we had to go play the number 1 seed Marin Catholic, that means we were 1 seed away from being the number 1 seed in Division 3.
Sure.
And like my team could have competed in that state final. Like I saw the 2 teams that were there, and
100%.
And I want the Open division to like matter, you know? And so like, I just don't feel like it helps at all. Like Sammy gets the 8 seed in the Open this year, and then she has to go play Bishop O'Dowd on the road for the first game. Like, that's not fair. You should be in the Open. It should matter.
And I think all but one team was on the road.
Mm-hmm.
I think from the Open division, I think all but last Brandon was home.
But they weren't in the Open.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, you're right.
But
You're
so
right.
just SI played at home, right? Were they the only? And Midi. Pinewood and Midi played at home. SI also did. I think they were the 7-10.
Okay.
But either way, like, it's still, I mean, everybody should be getting a home game.
You lost, 4 games all year leading up to that point, and then you have to go play on the road.
Right.
And so, I've seen that same thing. Like when we were in 2020, I think we were the 4 or 5 in Open.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, and we lost to SI in the Open. And then I think, we won the next one. I don't think they played the third one back then. But we got the 16th seed and had to go play number 1 Salesian, who ended up going to the state championship that year, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that year, 2020, my team lost in the CCS semifinals and got an at-large bid, and we won on the road in Auburn County at Placer because we were in Division 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And it's like, we didn't even make a CCS final that year. We thought our season was over, and then we started practicing again.
Yep.
And like somehow we won 2 NorCal games that year.
Yep.
But that's not fair.
Yeah.
Like, we should have had to go play Salesian that year. We should have just been happy to have made the tournament.
Yeah, I don't really even know the right answer, but there's just no clarity on why they put people where they put them.
Mm-hmm.
Because like you said, if we were Division 1 down, I know the competition, and nobody ended up playing that 2020 final anyway.
Right.
But
Still,
we beat the team we beat them in the regular season, who ended up going on, because right before they were going to have those games, that's when it all got shut down. So, I don't have the right answer. I just think, who cares? I mean, honestly, like, whatever. We're just going to go play wherever we end up. And I wish that we could like forecast a little bit more. When back in the day, you already knew, all right, here's the Division 2 teams out of the Sac Joaquin.
Yep.
Here's the top 4. Here's the top 4 in the North at Division 2. Here's the Central. Like, you can forecast, and then you can go schedule those sort of teams. So if you wanted to go schedule them, then at least you can, all right, we're going to go head to head.
Yeah.
So I know if we beat you, then we're going to be at a higher seed in NorCal. And
it gives you common opponents. So like the whole seeding in general after that's a lot easier, because everybody's, at least got maybe one common opponent.
Right. And so, the school size, is difficult because, all right, well, that school size is the same as Pinewood. Well, Pinewood's a different monster.
Yeah.
So there really is no system that's going to work for everybody. I just wish there was a little bit more clarity on why you put certain teams where they're placed. But they also have an impossible job, because whoever's on the committee hasn't seen everybody play. They have no clue. They're trying to do North and South, and it's just really difficult. So maybe they do the Open. They do the Open, but then they go back to enrollment base, just so at least all right, well, we're working with the same amount of kids, and it's not going to be fair either
way,
because like a Los Gatos that has, how many students you guys have?
Almost 3,000, like 24 3, maybe.
So that means you might have to go play a team. Well, let's just go Independence who has 3,000 as well. Like
Division 1, yep.
It's 2 different areas, so you're never gonna get a perfect thing, but at least you would know, hey, if I'm Independence, I might have to play Los Gatos later, so I need to start preparing for that.
I feel the same way. And like Division 1 might be hard because, like you said, there are a lot of students, but at least and at least like when we beat Woodside Prairie this year, a kid on my team was like, it costs X amount to go here, and we beat them for free. Like, let's beat other kids that go to public school too, or like, just, like you said, it's never going to be perfect, and like, there's going to be griping either way. From what I understand, it's not a basketball person who makes the decisions. And I think that's the hard part. And so like, it's, it's never going to be perfect, but you just have to play who's in front of you. Like that's all you can do, that you only can control that. And so like, would you like it differently? Sure. Would you like it? But we just do what we can do.
Yeah. It's and it's just like anything, we can find anything to complain about, but at the end of the day, does it really matter? Like, No.
Yeah.
And I mean, unless you win a state championship or have a real opportunity to do it. And in the competitive equity, well, it's much harder in the competitive equity piece. I think it was, well, I can only speak for us, but we were in the mix almost every single year when it was, in your division.
Yeah.
I just think.
When did that change? Do you know? With the open division?
I think, in 18, I think it was probably like 17, 18.
Okay.
Because we didn't go to the open that year. We won CCS, but we got pushed to Division 2.
Oh.
We were like 3 in D2. And then we went and played Pleasant Valley. I'm pretty sure, unless we were supposed to be D2 that year. I forget when it was. So I don't know if that was competitive equity or not.
It's been that way. My first year at Los Gatos was 18-19, and it's been that way since.
Okay. So it must have been that. It must have been that. It was the first year where it was competitive equity when you had the actual open. Because I think Midi won in 16, Division 2. So it might have happened the following year, 17, 18. So
that's right. I remember when Midi was in the Division 2 final every year.
Right.
Yeah.
Because there was still an open, but there wasn't competitive equity.
Right.
So they had the open, but if you weren't in the open, you would go in your division. And I remember that they won that year in 2016, I'm pretty sure, but that was their last state title, I believe, because then it was like open from there on.
Yeah.
And that's a gauntlet. I mean, a great team like them. They haven't won the biggest one that you can actually win, even though they've won almost everything else.
Everything else. Yeah.
Yeah. So like you guys are almost like a private school with just the area that you're in, the kids that you get, and then the support of the community.
Absolutely. And the academics at Los Gatos are very high. Like the kids, we won the Scholastic Team Award 2 years in a row. And like these kids talk about school all the time and they really genuinely care. One kid on my team had like a 4.6.
Yeah.
And like even the freshmen and sophomores take AP classes.
Yep.
And they all care very much about their studies and about their schoolwork. And it's nice because I don't have to get on anybody about it.
Right. No, that's a blessing too. What other things are like positives for you being in that area at Los Gatos?
A lot of positives. It's my first varsity job I've ever had, and I've just felt really at home since. The parents are very involved, which is a really good thing from my perspective. Like they handle a lot of things that would be on my plate if I had to think about. And so I just think it's an interesting community. In my interview, they said it was a demanding community. And like, I've found that if you put the kids first, then the parents are going to have your back. And like, that's what I try to do, is put the kids first there. We say human, student, athlete, and like, we go with that. It is a very affluent area. And so it just provides a lot more resources for kids to be successful. And just, like I said, the team dinners that the parents plan are like the team sleepover. And it's just nice to throw something out there. Hey, I want the team to do this. And then, it kind of goes off on its own. Yeah.
And I think just not hiding from whatever it is that you're trying to get accomplished, let the parents in on it, let people know what we're trying to do, what the expectations are, and ask for assistance like you have, like help,
right.
Help. Let's put, here's what we need to do. Who wants, because people want to help out.
Yeah.
And you just have to give people the opportunity to be able to do that. And if you open your doors to the program, I think it just makes it more successful. Now they feel like they're a part of it. I know we open the practices up. We tell the parents you can come anytime. Colin will do like a scouting report, go over it like with the parents. And
wow.
Steve Barnes had like an open forum after games. Hey, anything you want to talk about, go ahead and do it right now. Like, instead of so for so long we used to not run from it, but just like, no, this is what's going to happen. But in our society now, you have to meet things before they start to spill over.
Yeah.
And that's been the biggest thing for us in the last few years, is just like, no, we're in relationship and community with you guys. We care about your kids, and sometimes they don't get to hear us say that, but if we can actually have these conversations with them, they can, oh, wow, we really, these coaches really care. Like you
Yeah.
said, you hope that your daughter gets a coach that cares as much
Yes.
as you do.
Yes.
And if you got that as a parent, you're going to be okay with it. You know?
I cry every year at the banquet. Every year I cry because I just genuinely like love my team and I want them to know that I love them.
Yeah.
And like, I hate confrontation, which is so funny because like basketball coaching is a lot of confrontation. Like, when you're,
I mean, you say what's on your mind.
yeah, but like,
you might not like confrontation, but you always say what's on your mind.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But like, I'm so terrified of like getting in an argument with like somebody like coming out of the blue, like a parent after a game, like yelling at me. I like that. I'm like, oh, I don't want that to happen.
Right.
And so I try to address my expectations from the beginning of the season super early on in the parent meeting and like just try to lay it all out there. So there's never a question about what I expect from the parents and what I expect from the kids.
And what's the main point when it comes to that?
Like, I'll be the coach, you're the parent. And like Nate Ramazani came to our, I think somebody mentioned this on your podcast. Was it Bill or,
I think it was
Mark.
Nate.
It was Mark.
You told me.
Yes. And like
I think he also, Mark also mentioned it too.
Yeah.
You told me and that really stuck with me.
That's right. Yeah. And it was like, he said, I've never come off the court and said, Mom, thank you for yelling at the ref. You did a really good job. And so like, I just try to help the parents understand, like, this is your lane, stay in it. This is my lane, I'll stay in it. And like, I am always open for communication and I tell them I'm going to yell at your daughter, but I'm also going to love her a lot. And so like, I never shy away from telling my players I love them in front of their parents or at all. And like, I just think, as parents, like they want what's best for their kids. And so I tell them from the beginning, like, if your daughter's going to be late, I need to hear it from her. I don't want you texting me. Yeah. Like from now on, they're in high school. They need to be able to handle this on their own and like those types of things. And like, like I don't talk about basketball strategy or playing time with parents. And I tell them that from the beginning. Like if your daughter has a problem and she wants to talk to me, my door is always open. I will always talk to players. And like, I have one-on-ones with players every year that want to know what they can do to improve, what they can do to get more playing time, all the things. And like, that conversation can be had. If you want your parent there, they can come.
Right.
But I would appreciate it if they could have the conversation with me on their own. If you feel like you need to intervene, then yes, of course. Mm-hmm. And like, just like those types of things. And like, I've never told my parents they could come to practice. I wouldn't care if they did. I would never kick them out. Yeah. But like, I think, as far as like communicating and all of that, like that's been really helpful over the years. And like, yeah, I like my parents on my team. And I think that's helpful too. Like I've had a great group of parents the last few years. And honestly, since I've been at Los Gatos, like these people just care about their kids.
Yep.
Like at Del Mar, we didn't have a lot of parents coming to games because they're working or like maybe they just honestly like didn't care. And like my dad was always there. And like I tell my parents every year, like, your daughters are so lucky to have you. And like, maybe they don't tell you that enough. And, like maybe they get on your nerves or maybe you get on their nerves, I'm sure, but like, they're really lucky to have the support from you. And like, now that I'm a parent, it's different because I wake up every morning and I think about my kids.
Yeah.
And it's like, these parents have been doing that for 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 years. And it's like, I'm so lucky to have their support because they want their kids to have a good experience. Right. They want their kids to work hard. They want to have fun. They want to win too. Yep. And so it's just like a even bigger team, like common collective.
For sure. Well, it helps when you're winning.
It definitely helps when you're winning.
Because
yes.
There's not much you can say when you're winning. And usually if you're winning, you can play more people and more people are happy because you guys are winning. So if you're winning, 20 games a year, that makes it easy or makes it easier. Doesn't make it like perfect, but it makes it easier.
Helps. I love playing everybody. I heard your conversation with Jules about that too. Like I do think everybody should play at least a little bit, assuming that, they came to practice and they're doing all the things that everyone else on the team is doing. But like, I am a big proponent of that. And luckily, like my team, everybody played this year, which like was so awesome because we did win so many games and like, they really were working hard, but like, I love playing everybody. Yeah. And I think the team camaraderie and like morale and culture is just better when everybody plays.
And I do agree with that too. However, when you play in our league,
it's tough. It's tough.
It makes it very difficult to play everybody. But I love the thought of the concept, especially because everybody is working hard. But it doesn't mean that they have to play 20 minutes.
Right.
It just means you got in the game.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
When you have a deep team, I think that's a lot easier to do too, which is great. And I just think having open lines of communication is great, where you're in constant communication with people. Like this year, last several years, we haven't had really any parent issues to my knowledge anyway.
Yeah.
But we, like during the winter break, we'll offer, hey, anybody wants to come speak with us, parents and players, you can do that. Because 2 years ago, we made everybody, like, we're going to meet with everybody. We're going to talk to everybody. And that went great because we got to talk and have real conversations. And that was each one of the coaches, talked about the player, but most importantly, hey, we care about your kid. We think they're a great person, a great leader, whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
Here are some areas of improvement. You guys have anything for us? A lot of times they said no. And sometimes they just wanted clarity on certain things. Oh, well, that's easy. That's because of this. Oh, why are they not playing as much? Well, you're behind a senior that has been all-league player the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
And, oh, by the way, your position is stacked. So if she can do this, then maybe she gets more opportunities.
Right.
But those are things that when we first started, probably, when Sarah was a JV coach at Valley Christian, close to when I first started. Right after my first 2 years, I believe. Yeah,
14, 15 maybe.
Yeah. Oh, then that was my second year then.
Yeah.
Because I was 13, 14 was my first year.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we've definitely changed over the years. How have you changed in your 6 years coaching?
I think I'm definitely a better X's and O's coach than I was when I was your JV coach. I feel like I have always understood coaching girls and motivating and building relationships and connection and all that. Yeah. But X's and O's is somewhere that I have always had a room to grow. And so luckily being surrounded by so many basketball coaches has helped me along the way. And Giles and I talk about it all the time. There's no new idea. So steal whatever you want. Yeah. And having him has actually helped me more than anything, just being able to bounce things off of him or ask him about a play or ask him about, a situation or a practice drill or, hey, do you have a drill for this? And we talk about basketball all the time. And during the season, we're always in our house, drawing stuff on a board. And it's been so nice to have him because I feel like he helps me understand how to break things down and how to teach them a little bit better. Mm. And we watch so much basketball that sometimes it'll be oh, wait, rewind that. I want to see that. And it's just, it's fun because you're always thinking about basketball, Maddie, so you don't have to hide it from your partner because it's they want to watch it maybe more than you do.
Maddie doesn't understand every time I rewind. And as you can see, my board back here, I got zone sets drawn up. But how much is it overkill when you think about that sort of stuff? We can draw so many plays and I think they can all work. But how much is it overkill for your players? How many times do they actually execute it? Something new that they haven't done very often.
Well, it's funny because historically, I am not a big sets coach. I love free flowing offenses. My first few years, it was all 5 out, 4 out, pass and cut. Try to be basketball players and make something happen for your teammates. And more hey, this is what we're looking for in this, certain actions, a baseline drive so we can get that corner drift and swing and those types of things. But this was the first year that I had a ton of sets in, but it's you got to play to your strengths. So it's high, low. It's not really a set, but it's what we're looking for. Right. And so I just feel like those types of things, being basketball players and making basketball plays is way more important than hey, go run this set perfectly to execution.
Sure.
And at the beginning, that was because I didn't have a lot of sets in my repertoire and I wanted free flowing. It worked with my team the first few years, and that wouldn't work with my team this year. Mm-hmm. And so I've had to kind of shift what's best for them and where put players in positions to be successful.
Right. No, I agree with that. I think it's just creating the habits so they know where to go. And so even if it's set base, if you've created the habits,
right,
to be able to do that, then obviously you can be successful with it. So,
and the IQ, why we're doing this is maybe really important in everything that we're doing, especially in a set. It's you're setting the screen to get your teammate a layup. So this is why you have to set the screen this way. And this is why you actually have to hit somebody with the screen. And so I think we always talk about the why. I love when they ask me questions. Why are we doing this?
Did you listen to LeBron and JJ Redick podcast at all? So they just came out with a new podcast. Forget what the name is called, but they were talking about what makes a great basketball player. And one of the topics you're talking about is basketball IQ, but what their plan is to really ingratiate the game in the X's and O's, because those are two guys that really understand all concepts when it comes to basketball. And they're talking about, the coming off the pick and roll, and then the shake, and then this and that, and then X5. If X4, takes one step this way, we're gonna pitch ahead to the right corner. If they close out towards the baseline, we're gonna go to the middle. We're gonna go DHO, or if they close out towards the middle, we're gonna drive baseline, and then we're gonna hit the drifter, or we're gonna hit the second cut at the 45, like some really high level type of basketball terms. So I think you should check that out. Unless I didn't watch it, but because if you watch it, they'll have that.
Like they're drawing it up.
They're drawing it up too. Yep. But I was listening to it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is great.
Because you understood it, right? Yeah.
Do you think that because LeBron was talking about if like basketball IQ was in him, was it like innate, or can you learn it? And he was saying at such a young age, I was able to, he's like, if he was talking about how players can't run the same play on the opposite side.
It's true.
Yeah. It's in the NBA.
Oh,
he
wow.
was like, I've had teammates where, we run fist down on the right side, and then we just say fist down on the left side, and they can't run it. And it's just like, how can you not run it? He couldn't really wrap his head around it, because he's always been able to see the game at that level. So, but you were just talking about it because you were saying X's and O's may have not been your strong point. It was more about motivation and team camaraderie and things like that to get you guys to play as a unit. But that just goes to show you that you can learn more about basketball, and you watch a lot. So if you watch a lot of basketball,
that's
obviously
the best.
It's going to be in you. That's where I just find myself, like, I watch a lot of basketball, and mostly when I'm trying to like multitask. So like in here, I put basketball on. So it's always on. It's always in my brain, because if I'm going to do something, I want to make sure that I'm always surrounded by it. Even in the off season, I'll just go watch old games. Right now, I needed to get away from basketball because there's just a lot. So now I'm like watching, what's that Netflix, that golf one, Swing something.
Oh, yeah.
It's good. But it's good because it's got the mental part of it. They're talking about, this one guy had lost his confidence, and now he's trying to get it back. He hires his old swing coach, and the swing coach really wasn't even teaching him anything mechanically. It was just more talking to him, what'd you have for dinner last night? And just getting them like comfortable again. So but you need both of those parts. You need the X's and O's part, but you also need to make sure that your players are comfortable. And it's great because it seems like you are now finding like, I can do both of these things.
Yeah. I feel like I am. And you get more confident every year. And like you said, winning helps. And so that's been nice also. But it's just like, I always thought I had a semi-high basketball IQ, but like maybe couldn't explain it or couldn't teach it.
There you go.
And so like I remember I was never a very good basketball player, but I sometimes would be like, man, I, should have done this, or, like you just see things differently.
Yeah.
But like, I think coaching has been the best thing for my basketball IQ. Like from the very first time that I ever coached JV girls, it was like, when you're the one that has to make all the decisions, you have to actually think about all the decisions. And like, I kind of jumped in headfirst to be a JV coach. Like Paul gave me a chance at Cupertino, and like, bless him, because I was 19 and didn't deserve it and didn't do well. And like, learned so much from that season.
Wow. I didn't know you were coaching there at 19.
Yeah. And I was playing volleyball at the time at San Jose City. So I was like going back and forth between the two, and also in school, and like hated it, but loved it. Like I had such a positive experience, and I loved my team. We were not good. We only won one league game. And like, I definitely was not a good basketball coach then, but like, I felt like I made connections. I felt like I motivated all the things that I genuinely love doing. And so like, I really grew as a basketball coach after that. And when I coached for Top Flight, when I coached with Bill, and when I coached with my dad for Top Flight.
Yep.
And so, because I wanted to coach with my dad because I thought he would teach me those things, which he did. And then I coached for you right after. And so.
Wow. Yeah. The coaching journeys are like talking to Skip. He's coached like everywhere.
Yeah.
Like everywhere.
Well, he's been around a long time too.
In college, high school in Indiana, multiple different places.
Oh, wow.
Head coaches, assistant coaches. It's just wild, and we stay in it. Why do you stay in it as long as you have?
I just love it. Like, there's just nothing that quite, like, I don't know, sets my, like, passion on fire. Like, there's just something about it. Like, I could be having a terrible day and I get to the gym with my team and I am so happy. And like, there's just, I'm so comfortable in a gym. It makes me feel close to my dad to be in a gym. It's just like, it's just my happy place. I just love it. Like, there's nothing like coaching basketball. There's nothing like a Friday night game. There's nothing like an 8 a.m. practice. Like, I love it. And so, yeah, I stay in it because it's the best. Like, there's nothing like it.
I agree. We have to pause 1 second. All right, we are back.
So what about you? What makes you stay and do it?
Man, same thing. Nothing like being on the sidelines in a big league game. Nothing like preparing. I like preparing for things and then seeing how they all play out, whether it go in your favor or not. I think just it's hard. It's hard, and I like doing hard things, and I like once those hard things turn into success. And I like trying to like replicate what has already been done in my coaching career. And I want to continue to have a successful coaching career. And I've fallen back in love with it. COVID was a good like little break.
Yeah. Cause how long have you been at Valley then? 11 years?
Finished 11. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
But I mean, this is year 20 coaching total. I started coaching in 2004 with your husband. So yeah, I just can't really get enough of it at this point in time. There was a point in time where I was like, oh, maybe I could walk away after year 10, but year 10 came and I still wanted to do it. And,
yeah, I remember when you told me that.
And then I'm like, well, I can go for another 5 years, but I can also probably go for another 15 but it's gonna a lot is gonna be determined on how what the kids are interested in and stuff like that. But
yeah, like the kids are only little, for so long, or they're only, playing after school sports for so long or whatever it is. And like my dad stopped coaching and officiating when Allie and I got to high school because he didn't want to miss anything. And like, I'm sure I'll get to that point where, it's just, especially because I would like to have another kid maybe, but my husband is not so sure about that at this time if you ask him. And so, but I mean, our 9-month-old just started sleeping through the night. So that's probably why. I'm hoping that maybe in a few years he'll be interested in that idea. And so like coaching with, it's just that might make it hard, and like my kids of course have to be number one. And so if it gets to be too much or taking away from them too much, then I'll have to reevaluate. But right now it's hard, but I love it. And like, I would like Giles to, if he wants to apply for varsity jobs, like I want him to feel like he can, and that we can, like, we didn't know how we were going to make this season work. You just make every day work, so like we would make it work.
Yep. With the situation that we have now, I can still do all the other things and still be present and still give my all. So it's just like working a little bit smarter.
Yeah. You have like morning practices, don't you? That probably helps a lot.
That helps a great deal.
Yeah.
Because I'm out. We start at 6:30. We're done by 8:30. And then I can pick up the kids. And then like the other days is my late day. So then I can drop the kids off. So we flip every other day. It's a really great schedule. So I'm very blessed to be able to do that. So that's awesome. And you have to have a spouse that is committed to the same thing that you're committed to, which is coaching. And it's not easy, especially if she's not like a basketball coach, which she's not, but she's been with me this whole entire process, and every step of the way she's been there. So hats off to having a great spouse.
Yeah, she's the best, and she knows it's important to you, so that makes it important to her too.
Yep. So you briefly talked about your dad and just feeling close to him on the sideline. You lost your dad almost 3 years ago. Two, yeah. And I lost my mom, less than a year ago, and a stepdad just over a year ago. So like, how's your feelings because you guys were so close with the basketball and stuff like that. And this is beyond the bucket. So we have to go beyond just talking about, basketball and how we love it so much and stuff like that. Because, I think about my mom every single day. And, truth be told, like right after we lost our last game, and now I got real busy because once the celebration of life happened, then it was like basketball season. So you stay busy. And then that was like the moment that I was like, oh my gosh, like, what am I going to do now? Because I'm not going to be as busy. And so I kind of like broke down in front of the team too, which I completely am okay with being open and vulnerable with them, because I need them to see that, yes, this is maybe one of the worst things that's ever happened to me, but I'm still here. I still show up every single day. I've never missed anything. I've never been late. You guys have to understand that when difficult things, and it may not be a death, it could be an injury, it could be a relationship that is no longer, it could be anything that happens to you that may not be favorable in your eyes at that time, but you got to get through it. So talk to me about your process of getting through it over the last year and a half, 2 years.
I mean, the only way out is through. And so it's been so hard. And I think about my dad every day. And basketball season is harder for me than like Christmas or his birthday or my birthday, or, like what you think would be hard. But like my whole first season, I got in my car after practice, and it's just a split second, but you want to call him. And then, if something good happens, something bad happens, it's like you just want him there, and when everybody's together, somebody's birthday or whatever, you just look around and you just want him there. And like, I was raised by a single dad most of my life. And so I felt like we were, as close could be. And I have like, the grief that I feel is like love that just doesn't know where to go. That's what I saw recently. And it's like, it's true. And it's like, it doesn't all of a sudden feel better. You just get through it. And like, you just get better at handling it. And like I just, I have the positive memories, and like that helps. And like his love for basketball is my love for basketball. And so like, it makes me feel close to him still. The hardest part besides basketball is being around my kids and him not being there. Like he passed away right after McKenna turned 1. And like before Jamie was, even in an idea. And like Jamie's middle name is Joseph, which was always going to be our boy's name. If McKenna was a boy, her name would have been Jamison Joseph. And so it's like, you think about things like Giles sent a group message to like my siblings and their spouses. And it was like a picture of Jamie with like a Dodgers hat, but it was like the Dodgers hat that they serve nachos in at Dodger Stadium. So it's like a hat this big. Yeah. So it looked really silly on his head. And Giles like took the picture and sent it. And it just said like, Papa Joe would post this on social media so fast.
Yeah.
And it's like, I love when other people bring him up, so I get to talk about him.
Well, I'm going to bring him up real quick because we had just played St. Francis when he was coaching there, and we had beat him. So St. Francis in our games are always like, we're both right there.
Yeah, you match up well.
It's and she does a really good job. Hopefully she'll be sitting here in a few weeks.
Oh, good.
But we just beat them. But we were playing the team that they had just played. And your dad calls me and he's like, "Hey, Chris, you around?" And I said, "Yeah." He's like, "All right, I'm out front." I was like, "All right, come on in."
So like him,
so
just
he
to show
comes
up.
in and we sit in the living room. He's like, "Here's everything I got." And he walked through every single of their plays. He was like, "Don't share this with anybody. This is our secret scout. I don't want this to get out." Sorry, Joe, it's getting out. But he like sat down with me and we sat down for a half hour and he just kind of mapped everything out. And I just thought that was just so noble of him and we had just played him, but he was so selfless and he wanted us to beat that team. Now we lost to that team in the next game, but for him to just take his time and spend with us, it meant the world in that moment. So
absolutely,
yeah, that's my Joe story. Papa Joe.
He was the best. He was the best. And like I'm sure he loved that. I'm sure he loved every minute of it. And I'm sure he was your biggest fan cheering you guys on, like that's just how he was.
Yep. Anything you got for the people? We're at like an hour 15.
Anything for the people. Women's sports is on the rise. Get on the train.
There it is. Well, that is our episode today. Lots of different areas that we went to on the podcast. So thank you guys for listening. And here's our outro.
Thank you for listening to the Beyond the Buckets podcast. Please remember to subscribe, rate, and share the show with your friends. And until next time, take care.